All right, folks. Thank you for joining today. Today we're going to go over the new Chargeback interface called Usage Accounting Reports. And so let's take a look at what we're going to do. So the training today is to make sure that you know how to get access to the Usage Accounting Reports, to explain basic functions of Usage Accounting Reporting, and also to provide an overview of the reports that are within. So let's first talk about Usage Accounting Reports. So Usage Accounting Reports is a web-based reporting solution accessible via the Georgia Enterprise Technology Services portal, the GETS portal as you guys know it. It provides EPA, state agencies, municipalities, and IBM account management a way to view the invoices and trend reports.
All participants are now in listen-only mode.
So let's start with the access instructions. For those that don't know, you need to go to the GETS portal to get to Usage Accounting Reports. For the remainder of this session, for the sake of my voice, I'm going to call it UAR. And so if you've not registered to the GETS portal, there's some instructions here. You would actually go to this link, and I would ask folks to refrain from drawing on the whiteboard, if at all possible. So once again, you got to register on the portal page, and then after you've self-registered, you can work with your super user to order your access through Order Now. So let's just take an overview of UAR. This is a snapshot of the portal. You would go to the GETS portal, you'd enter in your IBM ID, that would be whatever email address you registered with. You'd enter your password, and you'd click Login. And then what you'll see new is right next to the GSmart tab that you may be using today for Chargeback reports, you'll see the Usage Accounting Reports tab. And then in order to get to the reports, you'll click on that, and you'll see a menu that looks somewhat like this. We've added some new reports. But what this is broken out into invoices, invoice detail, and trend reports. As you guys know, the M&S invoice comes out on or about the 10th work day of the month, business day of the month, and infrastructure is on the 15th business day. The second section here called Invoice Detail, that shows all the new reports that have been added. And we've also got two new invoice miscellaneous detail reports added to that list. And then you've got your trend reports that we had previously in GSmart, Chargeback, and then there's also that top 10 cost report. So it's just a reminder, because as you use these reports, you have to know what level of your account you're trying to view. So within UAR, you have the ability to choose, GTA has the ability to choose the enterprise. Agencies have the ability to choose the agency level, or what we call the cost center level, which is the identification level at the 35 length. This is good to know as we move into the next slides and look at the parameter selection screens. So let's just jump right in to an invoice example. So you see here, for this example, we're choosing the M&S invoice from the UAR menu. So this selection screen is somewhat similar to the Chargeback screen for GSmart, but it's a little different, so we're just going to walk through the whole thing. You can see at the very top there's an account structure drop-down. That drop-down needs to remain at standard. You don't have to change it or do anything with it. It's part of the perimeter screen, so just leave it as standard and move on. You don't have to do anything with it. With your account code level, this is where You can choose what level, whether you're at the 4 level, 10 level, or at the 35 level. You've got your starting and ending account codes that define the range. I know some agencies have more than one account code, and they can pull all those at once if they're in sequence together. And then at the bottom you have your date range, which allows you to choose the year and the month of the invoice you're trying to retrieve from the system. So all in all, it looks a lot like the G-Smart Chargeback selection screen. So just to blow out some of these things in greater detail, so when you get to the account code level and you hit the drop down, you'll see that you have the GA level, which is the enterprise level that we use here at GTA. You have the agency level, which would just be your account code like a GA01.98000. You have the customer defined level that at this time there's no real customer definitions in there. It's not been used. So more than likely, if you want greater detail, you're going to look at the cost center level, which is referred to here as identification level, the 1 through 35. So when you start making selections in the account code, when you click on starting account code, you'll probably see this little window that that pops up, and it'll run for a couple seconds. It's like it's loading the drop down. So don't be alarmed. You're going to see this little pop up and another one similar to it when you run through this interface window. Doesn't really, as you're making selections, it doesn't take a lot of time, but I just want to make you aware of it so that when you see it, you don't think something's going wrong. I'm going to go ahead and answer this question as it came in. There's not a way to save parameters for future queries and searches today. That will be a future enhancement that we're working on. So like I said, number of windows that can pop up while you're making your selections. So here you can see this is a bigger window that pops up after the smaller one. It does say select a delivery method. Like I said, that's not live today, but it will be in the future. So you'll be able to run a report and have it email you or even others. But that's going to be an enhancement coming in the future. All right, so once you see those things pop up momentarily, your drop-down box will come down for your account codes. You can scroll down and choose the account code you need. You'll need to do the same thing for your ending code. And as I said before, if you're an agency that has multiple account codes, you can select your first one and your last one, and all of them will come back in your results. So as we move down to the date range, this is a little different than before. So you've got a date range, and if you hit that drop down, it'll just say last month and current month. Or you can change the month through the month drop down. Through my experience of using this in testing, if you choose the month drop down to change the month, it'll change right away, and you can click Finish to run the report. If you click the date range to choose last month, to get to the last month, it'll actually take a moment to spin and think. So if you're in a hurry, just change the month, and you'll get to what you need there. So after you've made all your selections, you'd click Finish to run the report. The Finish button's all the way at the bottom of your window, so how big your browser is will determine how far away the finish is from your other selections. I know in G-Smart Chargeback it was right below your selections, just pointing out the difference there. Okay, so once you click on Finish, you'll see the working window again. The hourglass pops up again, and that can easily turn into the larger window that indicates that your report's running. And as I said before, we're going to work on the enhancement to enable that select delivery method piece for the future. So once your results come back in the browser window, I'm just going to point out a number of the changes that have taken place. You can see there in the invoice header that we now have an invoice date. That's the date the GTA releases the invoice. We have our payment terms, and then we also have the due date there. You also notice there's a reference number and it's blank. If you're a federal customer of the contract or you have a PO you're having to work against, this is where we put that information in for you for your reference. If there's no information like that, the field's just going to remain blank. And then once you're in this window, you can see in the bottom left that there's navigation. So if you wanted to get, since I pulled this at the cost center level, you can see this is just one page for one cost center. If you clicked on page down, it would go to the next page. And I believe in the example I've done that. So this is the next page. And you can see because I page down, you can see that the top and the page up navigation links have become active. Obviously, bottom would take you to the last page of the report. Page up would take you back where you belong. And if you're anywhere in the report and you click on top, it'll take you to the very top page. I also want to point out that just like G-Smart Chargeback reports, you're able to drill down on your units to get more supporting detail if you choose to do so. So we're going to just run through that real quick. So as far as drilling down, you'll be able to see supporting detail that's on those units, and for each resource unit there's a limited number of fields or identifiers that are available, and each RU is different, so the detail behind them are different, so you'll see that your identifiers are different with each RU. But let's take a look at what that looks like live. And as far as the ship to name and the reference number, those are not the same things. We're actually going to look at the ship to number in this drill down example. So you can see here we have 5 identifiers you can choose from. You don't have to choose from them all. You could just choose one if you wanted. In this instance, I'm choosing the ship to number, and I'm going to choose the phone number since I believe I'm drilling down on voicemail. Just a couple of notes here. You can choose up to 5. You don't have to, but you can choose up to 5, and the results will come back in the order that you chose them. So let's take a look and see what happens here. So this is the report that will come back when you drill down. You'll notice that the ship to number and phone number are there listed underneath the details of the drill. So we drill down a voicemail box, and the invoice number there and your billing dates are there. And then you can see the results there. So we have the cost center and then the phone number that's related to that voicemail. All right, so at this point I'm going to go back to the invoice and show you how to take it out of the browser and put it into something you can use it in. So for this instance, I'm going to show you how to take it into Excel. So there's this little icon in the upper right corner that I think looks like a piece of paper or a page with a globe on it, and that's going to be where you download from. So you can choose multiple formats. You have HTML, PDF, XML, and then a couple of different Excel options. So after you click on that page with the globe on it, you'll see the drop-down menu. If you hover the View in Excel options, you'll see that there's 2007, 2002, and a CSV format. If you choose a CSV format, that brings it out somewhat in a flat table format if you're interested in doing more analysis on it through Excel. But if you want it to bring it to Excel and it look like the actual report, you can just choose the Excel 2007 format. So after you click on that view in 2007 Excel, you'll get a new window, a pop-up window. In my browser, it opens a new window, and then it will indicate that it's running. So this may take, depending on how much detail you're bringing back or how number of cost centers, it'll depend on how much time it takes. And then, depending on your browser and how your settings are, you'll get an indication that your download is done. You can open it up in Excel. I'm using Firefox as my browser. IBM is recommending that browser for UAR use. So it does work in Internet Explorer. If you do have some difficulties, there may be some setting changes you have to make. But we can address that. If you do end up having any problems with it, I will say that you can just email me and I'll help you with that. I'm willing to do that for you. So anyway, so you get this download box, and for me, I would just click on Open and select Open and do OK. And then this is what the report looks like in Excel. So you can see it's pretty much just a copy of what it was in the browser window. What's unique and probably good to point out is that each cost center in this report ends up on a different tab. So you can see across the bottom there in the screenshot it says Invoice 1, Invoice 2, Invoice 3. That's just each cost center broken out. So if you have a lot of cost centers, there's going to be a lot of tabs. Now, I do know some agencies have up to like 150 cost centers. In this case, you could actually just click on one of the tabs and export to a new file, and then you could just send that one thing to the person that needs to see that cost center information. That's one way to do it. Okay. Okay, so that was the invoice report, and I had a couple questions queue up, so I'm going to try to get to those right now since I believe I'm doing good on time. Yeah. All right. Okay, so one question is, do I have to do all this drill down nonsense to get to the detail I want to see? Good question. Leads into our next section, which are the new reports that are the invoice detail reports. And I don't think I have any other questions. Let's see. No. All right. So I'm going to keep moving. So let's look at the invoice detail group report example. These reports were created through a focus group team that we had with several of the GETS agencies. So the desire was to create a report that came down that was easy to use in terms of filtering and maybe putting pivot tables on, but that gave you all the detail in one snapshot and also had the charges in the same file. So for this example, because I know the majority of our customers are going to have voice services, we're going to look at the voice detail. Okay, a lot of notes on this screen. So first, parameter selection is the same as the invoice report when you look at the invoice detail. So everything we talked about as far as not touching the account structure, choosing your account code level, choosing the account code level, the starting account code and the ending account code, that's all the same. I do want to point out here that instead of using the drop downs, you can just type in your account code in the cells that are next to the starting and ending account code drop downs. So you can see in this example I typed in GA01, which you have to do, and the period, and then you can put in the 5-digit account code. And then what's different about this report from the invoice is that you have the ability to choose a date range, meaning that you could pull for 1 month, you could pull for 2. I will caution you that customers with a lot of detail, if you try to choose multiple months with a lot of detail, you may end up waiting a very long time to get the report back and may time out. So if you pull 1 month, it comes back rather quickly. And so we'll see the results here in a second. Anything else I need to mention? Yeah, okay. I think I covered off on all that. So if you make your selections on this screen, and then click on Finish, you're going to see a window that says, hey, the report's running, please wait, like I showed before. And then your result in the browser window looks like a blank page, which at first can be a little daunting, but it's not blank. It's just the cover page for the report. So what you'll need to do is click on Page Down, and then you'll be able to see your detail. So in this instance, this screenshot, I clicked on Page Down, and this is the first page of the report. So it's going to have a large number of details, resource number, rate code, invoice number, usage dates, etc. You can see there that the third column says phone number. So if there's an RU with a phone number, it's going to show up in that third column. So that this is be an easy way to look at all your phone number detail without having to do the drill, and you can get it all at once for all your cost centers. And then, like I had mentioned before, the navigation, once you go one page down, all the links are active. Just a point here, when you export this report into Excel, you can do it from that cover page, or you can do it from looking at the results. Either way, the menu's active. So I'm going to go ahead and just walk through that export again. Like I mentioned here, from any page and any of the reports in UAR, you can click on the page icon with the globe and download the reports. This example, again, I'm going to Excel. This report was specifically designed to be exported to Excel. So you do those same steps by hovering Excel Options, choose View in Excel 2007, and then click on Finish. I'm sorry, not click on Finish, just click on View in Excel 2007. And then you'll end up with the same pop-up window telling you the report's running, and then eventually you'll get the indicator from your browser that it's ready to view. Once again, mentioning that IBM is recommending Firefox browser. So then once you open the report, it'll look like this in Excel. Once again, your first tab is the cover page, so it tells you the start date and the end date of the detail and the actual date that you ran the report. That's what that one with the arrow is pointing to there. So then you would click on the second tab that says Voice, and you would see all the information you brought down. And as you can tell, it looks exactly the same as it did in the browser. This information is easy. If you use filters, you can do that to move through your data. Or if you know how to use pivot tables, you can do that as well. All right. So I'm going to take a risk at this point and open up the sound for everybody. And if you have a question at this point, feel free to ask.
All participants are now in interactive talk mode.
Do you have any questions out there before I move on?
Yes, Kevin, I have a question.
Sure.
How do you go pull up your call detail on calls that are made, local and long distance call made from a specific number? If I want to see that type of call detail, does this allow me to do that now?
No. The call detail is not part of the billing detail. If you need to get information like long distance or numbers called, you can work with your customer relationship manager to work with AT&T and get that data for you. But it's not in the billing detail.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question here in the conference room.
Kevin, on the detail reports, I noticed the usage date. Was there a billing date on those spreadsheets or reports?
Even within the table?
Yeah. It did give the usage, but I'm not sure if I saw the invoice date.
I'd have to go back and look at it.
And the second part of that question is, if I selected more than 1 month, would it give me the different dates that I'm selecting
You would see a different usage date if you selected multi-month?
Usage date, okay.
Yeah.
But the billing date would be also helpful.
Okay. Well, that is on the cover of the report.
Oh.
And the times that I've got a question here from Herman that popped up. When I'm referring to filters, I'm just referring to the fact that when you have a report in Excel, you can go to the data menu and you can click on filters, and that'll put little drop downs on each column header so that you can sort through your data more easily than just kind of cursoring through it. All right. Any other questions out there? All right. Well, I'm getting that lovely sound. So I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody else and keep on trucking.
All participants are now in listen-only mode.
All right. So we're going to look at the trend and variance report example. So these trend and variance reports are similar to the ones that we had in GSmart Chargeback. So I'm going to choose M&S again for my example. So we've got a lot of notes here because the screen is different from the others. So in this case, I'd just like to point out that the account section of the perimeter screen is the same for all the reports. There was an update made recently because we're still trying to make things better for you guys. You'll notice that the account structure drop-down that's on the other two reports is not on this one. Something I'm working with the developers because we don't use it just to get rid of it altogether. So they've managed to get rid of it on this report. So you'll notice it's not there above account code level. You don't use it anyway. I'm just trying to point out the difference. All right. So where it all gets different here on this one is the date range. So you'll see that we have a year to choose from, a month to choose from, a number of months, and then your format options. So I'm going to go through each one of these. Obviously, the year is what it is, the year that you're choosing, and then the month. You're selecting the month that will be the last month displayed in the trend. So in this case, if I choose September 2013, that is going to be the last month displayed in the trend. In the number of months, you can choose 2, 3, 4, 6, and 13. So if I was to choose 13, I would see a report that showed me September 2012, monthly, through September 2013. In this example, I'm choosing 3 months. So that'll show me July, August, and September. And as far as the report type, expanded, this was part of what was also in Chargeback as well, the GSmart reports, is that if you chose it at summary level, you would see your trend at the RU level. If you chose it at the expanded level, it would break out the RU results according to the account level, the code level you chose at the top of the report. For instance, if I chose account level 10, and then at the bottom of the report, I chose summary, my results would come back at the trend at the RU level for 10. If I chose summary, if I chose 10 and then chose expanded, but I chose multiple agencies, it would show each one of those agencies underneath each RU. So something that might be a better use case for an individual agency is that you choose account load level 35 to see your cost centers, and then make sure you choose report type expanded. It's defaulting to expanded, but make sure you choose expanded. That way you'll see all the cost centers in your trend. So after you've made all these selections, you'll click on Finish, and then you'll get the indication that your report's running, and then when it comes back, it'll look like this. So you can see here I ran it for GTA. There's the 3 months I mentioned, July, August, and September. And because this is a trend and variance report, we see the variance, which is the comparison of September to August, and we also see a percentage delta. Now, a lot of these cost centers, there's not a lot of change, so you're not going to see any variance and you're not going to see any delta, specifically on this page. But you can see that we have each RU, and we have it by cost center. And then once again, pointing out the navigation at the bottom of the page. If you want to see the rest of the report, you can page through it. Or if you want to see it all at once, you can export it. And I believe in this example, we're going to export it as a PDF. Sometimes you just want to send the report to someone through email and just for them to view, and a PDF's pretty simple format to do that with. So in this case, you click on the page icon with the globe on it, and then you just click on View in PDF format. The report will run a little bit, as I've mentioned before. And then in my case, my browser is set up to open PDFs up in the browser. So, and you can tell that because you can still see the navigation at the top for exporting. So here's the report as it is in a PDF. From here, if I was going to print a report, I just wanted to print any of these reports, I would export it to PDF and then use the print feature in PDF. You don't want to print them from the browser because you're only going to get one page, and if the report's multiple pages, it's kind of a pain. So you're going to want to, I would suggest taking them out to PDFs to print them. And we're flying today. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to go through this slide and then I'm going to open up for questions. So if you need further assistance in using usage account reporting, you can contact your CRM. For those that don't know, if you go out to gta.georgia.gov, on the home page there's a link, and I believe it says Find Your Customer Relationship Manager, if you don't know who that is. And then if you have technical issues, you need to call the GEPS Consolidated Service Desk, and the number is there, 877-482-3233. And you'll want to tell them that you have an issue with usage accounting reports, and they will map it to the correct queue. And if they don't, and you don't end up getting help, that's where you can get your CRM engaged, and we'll try to get that resolved if you don't get your issue resolved through the service desk. And then finally, the presentation that we're looking at today is going to be posted up to this web link here, gta.georgia.gov/managing-your-work-gets-services. And I'm going to work on getting that done sometime next week. So let's see. Got some questions coming in here. That's a lot of questions. All right. I'm going to go ahead and just open up the line and take the questions. So at this point, the formal piece of the presentation is done. If you wish to stay on the line and listen to the questions or ask questions, feel free to do that. If you want to take the time to go and, the other thing I need to mention that I haven't mentioned is that these reports, even though they are in the portal today, and if you try to use them, they will work, we're still working out some bugs. So that's why on the main screen it says the reports won't be available until October 15th, because we don't want you to take the information from them and you know, have an issue with it, because we're still working on getting them completely perfected. I will say this, the GSmart Chargeback will continue to be online during the month of October, so you can still use it. We wanted to provide a month of transition, and so I think that's all I needed to say in the closing remarks. So I'm going to stop the recording right now. If you want to leave the call, you can, and after all the beeps settle out, if you're still on the line and want to ask questions, I will be here to take those.